Hey everybody, Coach Austin here at Fittwave. We're going to go over the 5 tech devices that I think you should be thinking about moving into 2025 to improve your health. First things first, we are not affiliated by any of these companies, and these are anecdotal based data backed by some research focusing on health, cardiovascular fitness, and overall well-being. Now, when we get into the weeds here quick, make sure that if you are using wearable tech data, you know how to interpret the data. A lot of people mess that up before getting into it. So we're going to go over the factors of what you need to measure along with the types of wearable tech and how you can improve moving into 2025. So let's get into it. Today, I'm currently wearing 2 specific pieces of equipment / wearable devices. This is the Apple Watch, ding ding ding, and the Smart Ultra Human Ring. Now, like I said, we're not affiliated with either of these companies, but we use this because it gathers good data. Now, we have individuals who are all over the world we work with coaching, where we pair their wearable device tech with our interpretation to help give you the best results possible. That's Fittwave Coaching. If you want to check out our data and how we interpret data and how we get people results, check out our other videos. But let's get into the 5 things you need to know and 5 pieces of tech that can work together. First things first, not all tech is best tech, right? So even if it is the leading brand, all of those types of things, there are flaws with all of them. So know that before you get started. But what we're using is your baseline information, like walking steps, blood pressure. We could get into HRV, all of these things really in depth. But what do you need to be monitoring? So let's get into it. First is steps per day, physical activity. We know from a general consensus with data is that more steps you get, the healthier you are long term. Now, with that, what are some things that track steps relatively well? We used to have these clickers or pedometers that what they would do is based on how you move, it would generate a magnet to essentially track, am I moving enough to get a step? What we can do nowadays is we use these wearable device tech like accelerometers in these Apple Watches or Garmin watches or Fitbits or anything along those lines to track our steps per day via movement. Remember, they're not 100% accurate, but they paint a good picture of how to move forward. Additionally, these smart rings like the Ultra Human also do the same thing, but it's all about data interpretation based on baseline. So as long as you're wearing them throughout the day frequently, you can track roughly how you're doing. Now, additionally, if you're not into wearable tech, that's okay. We also use ways to track how many steps you get. If you wear let's say you don't like the look of the Apple Watch or the ring or anything along those lines, you don't have to wear it all the time, but you just have to know your baseline data to help continue to improve your exercises, health, and things along the way. So for example, I know based on my data that I can walk 2,000 steps a day, and that's really, really close to 1 mile. Based on over 5 years worth of data, you don't need that much, but you could do it in a week. So the 5 topics that you need to measure. Okay, let's get into it. Steps, as we mentioned. Second is basically looking into what's my resting heart rate? Is it changing over time? So data changes over time. Third is actually weight. So you don't have a wearable device tech that you can use for that. So we recommend like a Bluetooth scale that can sync with our app. 4 is looking at how much I'm sleeping daily. So you can actually report that just based on the time you go to bed. You can use an app called Rise. We're not affiliated with that. Or you can use like these rings to measure your recovery, your sleep, things along those lines. They do a really good job of that. Like I said, they're not perfect. And then 5 is to track your heart rate data during exercise. So I actually recommend wearing the Apple Watch or like a Garmin or Fitbit that works well. The Fitbit is most cost effective, typically on Amazon. So those also pair with our app effectively. We can use those 2 things, the device and also what you're subjectively reporting, to interpret data and effectively move forward. So let's get into the 5 devices that you may need based on your goals. So if you are focused on improving cardiovascular health, the wearable device that you would want is a smartwatch, whether it's Garmin, Fitbit, or if it's in regard to cardiovascular goals. These are going to be a generally better tracker over time. Anecdotally from our athletes have been reporting this, and as much as we are reporting it, the data suggests somewhat both of using any type of wearable tech, but we recommend typically the watches for cardiovascular endurance. If you're a strength athlete, what I would recommend is actually using an app like our app to report sets, reps, weight, because these do not do a great job of that. So we use both to combine that. So if your goal is strength, if your goal is cardio, and if it's both, using both. Third wearable device that you can use for sleep, as I previously mentioned, is the rings. Oura Ring, Ultra Human, those are good. Ring Con is another one, but the data that we can pull from that typically has some benefits with lack of subscription with the Ultra Human. 4 is getting in general steps. You can use pretty much any of those wearable devices. And last but not least is getting into nutrition, is using an app. So some people like to use like glucose monitors, things along those lines. If you are type 2 diabetic, sure, that makes sense. And you can have like a patch or a glucose monitor that's wearable device. But if you are not pre-diabetic or diabetic, meaning you have an hemoglobin A1C that's less than 6.0 over 3 months, look at your lab data. That's going to be more important to start. But with that being said, just make sure to understand when you are combining that data and combining your habits, using coaching helps mitigate where you're moving forward. So think of it this way. If I'm a financial advisor and I see all this income and all this expenses, and I don't know how to like optimize that, that's a financial advisor or a certified financial planner. They're going to come in, they're going to optimize that effectively. We do the same thing with health and nutrition to make sure that you get great results. So if you're interested in our services or want to learn more, let us know. But we are leading in that industry and we want to be able to continue moving forward.